It was a warm June evening in Willow Creek, a sleepy cul-de-sac nestled in the heart of Maple Grove, where porch lights flickered and fireflies danced like tiny lanterns. I was standing on my front lawn, checking my phone for the 10th time, when the sleek black limousine rolled into VYEW. Its polished exterior gleamed under the fading sunlight, a silent promise of precision and purpose. My name's Ethan Caldwell, and I was the guy tasked with making sure that limo got a VIP from Maple Grove Regional Airport to a global youth summit downtown. The passenger? A 16-year-old royal envoy named Prince Zane, heir to a small but influential kingdom, here to charm the world's economic elite. My job was straightforward. Meet the driver, confirm the route, and fade back into my quiet life as a high school history teacher. But in Willow Creek, nothing stays quiet when Vanessa Thornton, our HOA president, smells an opportunity. I caught sight of her before the limo even stopped. She was speeding down the street in her golf cart, her blonde hair bouncing like she was auditioning for a reality show. Her daughter, Chloe, was perched beside her, decked out in a shimmering pink prom dress that screamed, "Look at me." Vanessa screeched to a halt, while VYing a stack of papers at the driver like she was VYing a subpoena. By the time I jogged across the street, Chloe was already climbing into the limo, snapping selfies with a grin that said she owned the world. The driver, a nervous guy named Tom, looked like he'd been hit by a verbal hurricane. Vanessa was in full force, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "This is for my daughter's prom," she declared, as if that settled everything. "Vanessa," I panted, trying to keep my cool. "That's not your limo. It's booked for a royal diplomat under a federal contract." She turned to me, her eyes narrowing like I was a stray dog barking at her heels. "Oh, Ethan, don't be dramatic," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "Your little VIP isn't even here. Chloe has photos scheduled at Rosewood Park in 20 minutes. If you needed this car so badly, you should have been faster." I glanced at Tom, who shrugged helplessly. "She showed me HOA documents," he muttered. "Said she was authorized. I didn't need to see the papers to know they were fake." Vanessa's HOA letterhead was infamous for its typoshed, once misspelled community as community in a newsletter about mailbox uniformity. Before I could argue, the limo peeled away, Chloe Wa VYing from the sunroof like a pageant queen. Vanessa called out, "Have fun at your boring summit, Ethan," as the taillights vanished. My phone buzzed. It was the embassy. "Where's the vehicle?" a clipped voice demanded. I swallowed hard, sweat beading on my forehead. "There's been a complication," I stammered. By the time I explained, they were already tracking the limos. GPS Prince Zane had landed early, standing at the airport with two stone-faced security agents, while his secure, transport complete with encrypted comms and confidential documents was speeding toward Maple Grove High's prom. This wasn't just any car. It had diplomatic plates, a sat phone in the glove box, and tech that could probably launch a missile. And now it was in the hands of Chloe Thornton, a junior who'd once thrown a fit at the community center for not VYing organic kombucha. The agents were Lee VYD. 10 minutes later, a black SUV roared up to my house. An agent named Carter stepped out, his earpiece glinting in the dusk. "Do you have any idea what will happen?" he asked, his voice low and lethal. I didn't. Not until he showed me the limo's live feed. The dash cam captured Chloe pouring sparkling cider over the leather seats, squealing, "This is better than Hollywood." Vanessa's voice crackled in the background, bragging about calling in favors as HOA president. The words diplomatic transport flashed on the screen, and my stomach churned. "Sir," Carter said, "if those kids touch that sat phone or open the glove box, we're looking at an international incident." I felt the blood drain from my face. Vanessa had always been a bullish to find me for planting tulips too close to the sidewalk, but this was next-level insanity. She'd stolen a vehicle registered to a foreign government, and she was clueless about the fallout. We tried calling her. She ignored us. I texted her 3 times, begging her to stop. She replied with a photo of Chloe stepping out of the limo at the high school, captioned, "Bow down, losers." Carter stared at my phone and muttered, "I'm pretending I didn't see that." They tracked the limo to the prom venue, A gymnasium transformed into a tacky wonderland of fairy lights and fog machines. Police units rolled in quietly, and I rode along, my heart pounding. The limo was parked crookedly on the curb, one of Chloe's stilettos wedged in the grill. Inside, teens parted like a tidal wave as Carter and his team stormed through. Vanessa was by the punch bowl, holding court with other parents, spinning a tale about how she'd secured elite transport for Chloe's big night. Her speech cut off when Carter tapped her shoulder and whispered something. Her face went pale. "You're joking," she hissed. "You're ruining my daughter's prom." "Ma'am," Carter replied, "you're in possession of a federal asset. That's not theft, it's interference with international operations." Chloe, mid-photo shoot, looked up and shrieked, "Wait, this is illegal? Mom said we rented it." The crowd gasped. Someone knocked over a dessert table, sending cupcakes flying. Amid the chaos, Prince Zane arrived in a backup SUV, stepped out in a crisp suit, and surveyed the scene with a single word: unbelievable. Willow Creek's prom had just become a global embarrassment, and Vanessa thought she was the star of the show. The next morning, 2 agents knocked on my door, their faces carved from granite. They carried tablets and folders thick with legal jargon. I let them in, pouring coffee into a chipped mug as they laid out the damage. The limo had been towed to a secure lot. They'd recovered the sat phone, a diplomatic seal, Amlis impressivelia pile of glittery napkins, and a tiara stuffed in the cup holder. Chloe had used the secured VYC as a selfie prop, spilling soda on the seats while complaining they weren't soft enough. The agents were scrubbing footage of her dancing in a car meant for state officials. "The diplomatic corps is in crisis mode," one said. "Expect inquiries. Maybe a reprimand." I marched to the HOA office, a tiny brick building off Pine Street, to confront Vanessa. She was surrounded by board members, WAVYing screenshots of Chloe's prom photos like they were Nobel Prize certificates. "We got 60,000 likes," she crowed. "That's influence." I didn't mince words. "You stole a government vehicle, Vanessa. It had encrypted tech. You turned a classified asset into a prom prop." She smirked, unfazed. "It was parked on a public street, Ethan. Nobody said it was off-limits. Your prince was late. Chloe needed it more." I held up an embassy report. "He was early. You left before he landed." She scoffed, pulling out a forged receipt with a crooked logo and my address scribbled in marker. "I paid for it," she said. The agents later laughed it off as Clown Court EVY Denke. The story exploded online. Gossip sites ran headlines like "Prom Princess Hijacks Diplomat's Ride" and "HOA Mom Goes Rogue." A TikTok VY Deo juxtaposed Chloe's limo strut with a royal motorcade, captioned, "Guess who's facing charges?" Vanessa's leaked audio claiming she owned the limo because she paid taxes spawned memes overnight. She thought she was a celebrity. Chloe leaned into it, posting a VY Deo called "How Mom Got Me a Royal Ride," no cap, begging for shares. Meanwhile, I was fielding questions from agents in my Lee VYing room, my career hanging by a thread. The royal family was mortified. Prince Zane, poised beyond his years, had been shuttled in a rented sedan with no security because of Vanessa's stunt. His parents sent a scathing letter to the State Department and Absurd Lido the Willow Creek HOA, chastising Vanessa for undermining diplomatic protocol. She framed it, hanging it in the HOA office with a note, "We're global now." The neighborhood was done. At an emergency HOA meeting, residents unleashed years of pent-up rage. Vanessa had banned holiday lights, fined a widow for a tacky garden bench, and now this. A retiree named Mrs. Harper stood up and roared, "You humiliated us on a world stage, and you're acting like we owe you." Vanessa just smiled. That's when I knew. She thrived on chaos. The agents dropped a bombshell in private. A tracking tag was missing from the limo. The sat phone showed signs of tampering. Someone had accessed an encrypted frequency, briefly, but enough to raise alarms. If Vanessa or Chloe had meddled with it, we weren't just talking scandal, this was espionage territory. My blood ran cold. What started as a prom stunt was now a national security nightmare. Vanessa didn't stop. After being voted out as HOA president in a landslide, she went quiet too quiet. Then the attacks began. A traffic cone appeared in my driveway. My sprinklers started soaking my mailbox. City inspectors showed up, citing unpermitted structures I'd never built. A fire marshal asked about non-existent propane tanks. Then came the emails from the city, accusing me of hosting foreign operatives and running a private intelligence hub. The complaints were laced with forged EVY denke, including an email I never wrote. Prepare the secure channel. The prince arrives tonight. Vanessa, it turned out, had once worked in city records. She knew how to forge documents, file complaints, and make them stick. I fought back with facts, compiling every email, contract, and timestamp from the limo deal into a binder. I presented it at an HOA meeting, Leah VYing it on a table with a sign, "Read the truth." But Vanessa was playing a dirtier game. One night, a man knocked on my door, claiming to be an investigator. He flashed a badge too fast and asked about my backyard security layout. His questions were off, his VYB wrong. I demanded ID. He bolted. The agents ran his face through a database. He was a private investigator, hired to scare me. Guess who paid him? The final straw came at another HOA meeting. Vanessa stormed in, demanding her presidency back and accusing me of foreign collusion. The room froze. Then a voice cut through Prince Zane, back to end the madness. "There is no collusion," he said, his calm voice like a gavel. "You made a mistake that endangered lives. I'm here to thank this community for fixing it, not to let you rewrite history." The room erupted in applause. A week later, agents arrested Vanessa. She'd forged federal IDs, leaked protected data, and tried to frame me. They cuffed her as Chloe sobbed, and the neighborhood watched, stunned. The silence after was eerie. Willow Creek felt lighter, like a curse had lifted. Kids biked freely. Neighbors waved. The HOA rebuilt, banning unilateral power grabs and adding audits. We threw a block party, Prom Redux, with Prince Zane as our guest. The limo, now just a car, parked proudly with a sign, "Redemption Ride." Zane raised a soda and toasted, "To lessons learned and vetting your HOA." The crowd roared. Weeks later, a package arrived. Inside was a framed photo of Chloe posing with the sat phone, cropped to look absurdly glamorous. A note from Zane read, "Diplomacy needs humor. Thank you for staying sane." I hung it by my door, a reminder of how one woman's ego nearly sank using how he rose above it. But here's where it gets messy. Was Vanessa a mastermind or just a delusional mom? Should Chloe face consequences for her role, or is she just a kid caught in her mom's chaos? Could the neighborhood have stopped Vanessa sooner, or was her power INEVY table? And the big one, if another Vanessa rises, would you fight or flee? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe. You need to talk about this.